Hello, traders. Oh my God, we're finally live. All right, guys, I'm gonna just run with this because honestly, it's been a ridiculous morning. I started at 8:59 a.m. right at 9. I thought everyone's gonna be so impressed. Then it didn't work, and I had to restart it. And then look, guys, I usually have Donna for this. Donna's my great guru and ninja for morning market updates and a lot of stuff. You guys probably will know Donna that does all this for me. She's on vacation, and I started it the day that she left for vacation. This new segment at morning market updates. It's been stressful. Let's dive into it though, because we got a lot to talk about. Title of today's update is China hits back at U.S. Markets sink after MOFCOM sanctions. MOFCOM is my favorite new word to use. I'll tell you what that means in a second. Today's markets, Asia markets are down across the board. Not too much, but Japan's down nearly 3%. That is a lot, 2.6. In Europe, Frankfurt leads the way, down 0.9%. In the United States here, futures, Dow is down 0.5%, S&P down 1%, NASDAQ down 1.2%, and crude oil down 2.1% as well. So the energy complex getting hit. Gold is up 0.3 to 4,146.80. That's a big jump in gold prices. We broke the 4,000, continues to climb. Bitcoin rather is down 3.3%, and the 10-year treasury yield is up as well. On the economic calendar, well, the government is shut down, so there isn't really much in the way of new economic events, but we do have Jerome Powell at 12:20 p.m. Eastern time. He is speaking at the National Association for Business Economics. All right. The thing with that is he's not going to reveal much, but the market will still be watching for what he says in case there's new information or a new twist to the same old information the Fed always regurgitates and talks about. All right. The big news today driving the market lower is that China strikes back at U.S. firms. All right. Beijing's MOFCOM, which stands for Ministry of Commerce. All right. Ministry of MOF, Commerce. Launched countermeasures against U.S. linked companies. All right. And what they basically did is they put port fees on ships that are made in the U.S., operated by these U.S. linked companies, but there are no tariffs on ships made in vessels made in China entering the port that are U.S. linked. So they basically just tariffed ships made outside of China. All right. And it says China says the U.S. cannot have talks while threatening new restrictions. Port fees applied to U.S. ships in the tit for tat on tariff escalation. All right. Rare earth oversight tightened. U.S. demands Beijing fully rescind export rules. All right. And, the tone is turning very defensive after Monday's temporary optimism driven mainly by, Donald Trump's tweets. He said, do not worry about it. I remember one tweet yesterday said, don't worry about China. We're going to get resolved. Just keep buying equities pretty much. He didn't say keep buying equities, but it was a reassurance. This is temporary. He knows President Xi. They're on good terms. That this is, he even said, I agree with what he's doing. I know what happened. We'll get this resolved. Don't worry. Okay, so that kind of gave the market some life, some optimism. Overnight, we are starting to see a little bit of selling, but still far off of overnight or Friday lows, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. All right, in a macro context, Trump and Xi meeting is still planned for late October at APEC in South Korea. That's not changing. That's a positive that they're willing to talk at least. All right, Washington trying to sound conciliatory, and China trying to sound like they're not buying it. So I have a feeling this is going to progress a little more today. We may have another tape bomb, etc. Although it's not a bomb anymore. We know what's going on. It's not a tape bomb, but I think this could progress. So keep a news squawk or some kind of news feed active throughout the day session. All right. That's that. I mean, the impact across markets has been global stocks are lower. Safe havens are bidding. Treasuries, boons, and gilts are up and all stronger. Telecoms lead in Europe on Ericsson's earnings, which was pretty good. Metals and miners are the weakest. U.S. dollar gains. Japanese yen's always stronger, or not always, also stronger. It too is a safe haven. And that's what we have. We had four banks. Four banks reporting their earnings today, and it was a mixed bag of nuts. Let's start out in reverse order of when they reported. Citigroup, ticker symbol C, reported most recently. All right, it's the freshest data. They came out with 224 EPS versus 189. That's a beat. Revenue to 22.1 billion off 21.14 billion, and raises dividends to 60 cents a share. So it's pretty good on the top line. But if you look at a little bit underneath, fixed sales, which is fixed income, commodities, and currencies, and trading revenues 4.02 billion versus 3.74 billion. Made $4 billion in 3 months trading. Amazing. All right, it's not the same kind of trading we're doing though. IB revenue is also up, and net interest income is up as well. All right, Citigroup up 1% pre-market, and it's sticks out. It's sticks out like a sore thumb, being a green stock in an overnight session that's low. All right, Goldman Sachs Q3 2025 update. Earnings per share $12.25, 1089 expected. That's a beat. Revenue 15.18 versus 14.42. That's billion. That's also a beat. All right, but here's where it gets interesting, because Goldman was initially up 1% pre-market, then reversed to minus 1% on higher expenses. This is where it got, it wasn't great. Fixed sales and trading revenue were higher. That was nice. Equities trading revenue was slightly lower. It's not a massive difference maker, but it was slightly lower. Provisions for credit losses were reduced. But here's where it got interesting. Operating expenses, 9.45 billion. That's up 14% year over year. All right. Compensation and benefits, obviously they're beating. We got to give them some increase in salary. Compensation and benefits up 14% as well. All right. In Q3, headcount and staff up 5% quarter over quarter, not year over year, quarter over quarter. So there's more people. So there's more expenses on staffing wise. That's good. It's not just people getting more money, which is not a bad thing, but people tend to hate that with public companies. And operating expenses higher. So yeah, Goldman Sachs went from plus 1% to down 1%. JP Morgan, ticker symbol JPM. I'm going to pick it up a little bit. I do have to trade in 10 minutes. EPS $5.07, expected 4.82. All right, so that's a beat. Revenue beats as well. The guidance is set around 25 billion. JPM shares are lower by 5% pre-market. Okay, there was also some things buried in here, like what was the thing that was buried in here? Expenses were slightly higher, and credit losses were expanded to 3.4 billion from 2.96 billion. That's a pretty big increase. Spooked the market. Next one was Wells Fargo WFC. Earnings per share 166 over 155 beat. Revenue 21.436 over 21.5 beat. Net interest income 1195 versus 1201. All right, also a beat, and everything was pretty strong in Wells Fargo. Definitely the top performer in the banks, up 2.8% in pre-market trade. Keep an eye out on that one. Okay, those are the bank earnings. Now it's time for my favorite segment. I love all this, but time for my favorite segment, George's daily levels and George's daily trading plan. All right, so let's get to it. So here's my levels. Overnight high, this is on the S&P 500 futures, ticker symbol ES, which is what I trade. And it's also the S&P 500. It's the most broad market, the highest net worth by the biggest market cap. Listen, guys, get the terminology right, all right? I'm just starting again back into these morning market updates. Have some mercy. But S&P 500 is the biggest market. And the broad market index it's referenced to. So it would help for you to know where the S&P is, especially for intermarket correlation plays and context, no matter what asset you trade. If you trade Bitcoin, you should know what S&P 500 is doing. If you're trading hockey cards, you should know what the S&P 500 is doing. All right, maybe not hockey cards, but maybe. All right, here's my levels. Overnight high on the S&P 500 futures, 67.18.5. Boy, that's pretty far away from where we are now. Right. The prior day high was 67.11.5. So we were able to push. This is why I follow these levels. I follow 4 levels, 5 that are so important and give me the whole picture of what I'm going to do for the day. And these levels auto draw by themselves. I don't have to do anything. So the overnight high went and exceeded the prior day high and then failed with magnitude. Okay. The prior day cash close, which is at 4:15 p.m. Eastern time. That's a cash close for the market. Actually, it might be set at 4 p.m. I'll double check. 66.94 half. All right. So we closed at 66.94 half. We pushed overnight to break above the prior day high in the US session, and we failed And the current price went down to 66.23, overnight low 66.05 3/4. So we're closer to the overnight low, which gives us all the context we need for the session. Okay. 65.40 is Friday's swing low. That was on the tape bomb. If you don't have that number memorized, well, have it memorized now because it's very, very important. Okay, so here's the trading plan then. 6,700 to 6,725. We got a major cluster of calls up there. There's a buildup. It's a resistance zone because it's negative gamma, and dealers are going to need to close out as we approach that. Okay, they're long at 6,700 above it. It's going to cause either a continuation of momentum or a reversal, depending on what dealer gamma does. Okay, put walls 65.25 to 65.50. I'll give it to you like this. I'll give it to you in a summary because there is actually the call and put activity this morning is a little more complicated, but the market is pinned near 66.25 and 66.50. Current price 66.23. This is before I turn my head. Okay, now that I've turned my head, it's 66.35. So, all right, we've gone up 12 points. But the pin is, you got to remember this. The pin level here is 66.25 to 66.50. Resistance, 6,700, 6,725, and support, 65.50. That's the put wall. Now, here's the trading plan for me today. I'm watching the price near the overnight low. I love the overnight low because remember, we just painted a picture. I just painted a picture for you, right? We close around here. We go and we exceed the prior day high in the US session. So there's a bid in the overnight trading. Big failure down below the close. So now the market's below where we closed yesterday. So we've given up some of the gains. And now we're driving lower towards the overnight low. So here's what I'm trying to watch. To me, the overnight low is where you're going to start to get some fresh money activated. I don't like to trade over levels that have been traded. Like, I'm like, I live in Florida, so snowboarding is probably not the best analogy anymore, but I like fresh powder when I used to snowboard. If I'm snowboarding down tracks that have been beaten to death and they're all icy, I don't like that experience. I like fresh pow. I want some powder wherever I'm snowboarding. I want to be the first person blazing the trail there. Well, the same thing with price action. I don't want to be trading around price action's been chopped up all night. I want to wait for some extremes, some edges, some new and fresh positioning, and some fresh powder. So that being said, I want to see it get down overnight low, 66.05 3/4. Now, it may not at this point, but if we do get around that overnight low and we break lower of that level and we see lots of selling, sell, everyone's panicking. I'm looking at the order flow, huge selling going on below the overnight low, and price doesn't move. Does that mean it's a short or long? What would you do? That's a long. Every single time you break a support level, you get a ton of selling. The price can't go down. It means it's being absorbed. Pop that thing back up. All right, the short play is if we can't hold the overnight low, then the offer is pretty strong. We get short below that overnight low, and we move down to Friday's lows of 65.40. Now, 65.50 is our put walls, so that would be more realistically the target. I don't like to target the edges. I like to once I'm in a position off of an edge, I like to get out and scale out somewhere where the path is already beaten, right? Because there's a lot of liquidity there. That's the plan. Now, if this thing reverses and keeps going strong and goes bid, then above the prior day cash close that I had of, what was it again? 66.94. Also remember there's some resistance here. It's going to be a bit harder to get long, but if the bid is strong, you got to get yourself long. You just got to find a good level to do it at. That's your morning market update. It's 9:21. I started late. I started at 9:10, so 11 to 15 minutes. It's right around the window. I'm going to turn around and answer some comments real quick and questions and say hi to you guys. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, check out our trading community, TradePro Academy. We literally do this, and then we slide into trading the plan and then analyzing the market, breaking news, answering questions in a live environment. I mean, that's one thing we do that's very rare from anyone else is we're there for you. Like the same person talking now is going to be the same person answering your question on the mic live as you ask it. It's the community environment of what we do is probably the best on the planet. I don't need to elaborate too much more. We're a very strong community. Come check us out, tradeproacademy.com. And yeah, let me turn around and see what you guys are saying. I got to go in the trading room. Victoria is probably doing the morning market, his trading plan right now for NASDAQ and ES. I'm going to join them first. Let me see what you guys are saying while you look at the back of my head. It's kind of odd. William, good morning, sir. Good morning, MS Dobev. Good morning, my brother. J Rad, good morning. Fresh powder. Not like that, oatmeal. Like fresh powder in terms of snowboarding. All right. Don't Dana Black. Yeah, long is kind of where it's looking at, unless we start to break out some support. J Rad, great to see you as well. I'm super happy to be back. And the balance grind, it's a really cool emoji. It looks like a very trippy. Now I know why you're using that, relating to the comment of snowboarding. You guys are hilarious. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be here again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Donna will be back, so I promise I'll start at 9 a.m. Take care. Have yourself a great day, and I'm going to see you tomorrow. All right. Trade safe day. Keep it tight. Don't overdo it. There's going to be volatility. You're going to have an opportunity. You don't have to press today. Don't push. Don't force. Let it come to you. You guys take care. Have a great day. Bye. Oh, when using DOM, do you use CQG or RITH? The balance I use Sierra Charts DOM. I really love the DOM. And why? The reason being is it's very customizable, and I've sort of gotten used to it. Before that, I used to use CQG, something called Market Delta. Market Delta went out of business. They were the innovator of the footprint chart. So I used Market Delta, and I followed Market Delta around. They went to CQG. Before that, they were at the Investor RT, pardon me, Investor RT group. So now I'm at Sierra. Great question. Love you. Take care. Trade well. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.